Hi. I hope I'm just gonna check. I hope you can hear me well. My microphone is connected. I hope. If you can't hear me, please write it in the chat. Okay. Welcome for who is here, who is going to be here, and who will watch the recording. I'm trying different social media to see what works for me and what's the best platform. I did live in Instagram and in Facebook and YouTube. So I'm going around, but I'm here today. And today topics is to talk about why it's important to welcome babies in this world in a gentle way, and what is birth trauma. And so I will talk a little bit about me, about what I do first, and then I will talk for about 20 minutes and about my experience with birth trauma, with gentle birth, and then if there will be any questions, I will answer you even later. And yeah, and then today is my rest day, and I want to honor that. And this is also trauma work and self-care, and it's so important to respect ourselves as women, who we are, and this is embedded in this talk and in all women's health talk, having boundaries, having resting days. Yeah, so who am I? I'm Laura. Welcome to my YouTube channel, Mother Tales. Please subscribe, follow me. And I also have a Instagram profile, which is called Heal Birth, Heal Earth. I really believe that by healing birth, we heal this humanity. I really believe that starting from birth, we heal people. We heal the world. And my background is midwifery. I traveled around the world for many years, and I still travel less to support women, families having gentle birth and making sure that birth is respected and protected, to avoid any birth trauma, to avoid any violence in birth. This is why I'm here, and I'll keep being here. So this is an introduction for those ones who want to deepen and dive more into the topic. You can reach out to me one-on-one. I offer an initial free session. What I do is I use mainly compassionate inquiry to do inner work in pregnancy, to understand what's the best choice for you to connect with your body and to connect with your intuition and to connect with your true self. And because we are so conditioned, so programmed, so brainwashed, that sometimes see the layer inside us is difficult. And so, but if we are in a space where we are connected with people or with someone, where, but if we build a space that is sacred, that is safe, that there is connection, then this will allow us to see what's inside here. And so my passion is to create this sacred container for women, prenatally, postnatally, during birth, and to really be connected with the true essence. Yeah, so I use compassionate inquiry as well. And it's one of my approach that I've learned and I'm learning from Gabor Mate and Sadaram Kaur. And I am one of the interns, and it's an amazing journey for me. And it has changed my life deeply. CI, Compassionate Inquiry, is a somatic psychotherapy approach that really guide people to do inner work, to understand the story, their beliefs, and how the beliefs in the story influence what happened to them, really influenced their life, and reconnect with who they truly are. Develop compassion for themselves. And so, yeah, this is what I do as well. And this is an introduction. So please feel free to contact me. I will also, if you are in Sydney, I'm hosting an event April 16 at Ham Studio. It's about compassionate self-care. But let's start, because I don't want to steal your time. I am gonna dedicate the next 15-20 minutes on what birth trauma is and what to do to prevent it, and why it's so important that women have a sacred, gentle birth. So birth trauma or trauma is not the event itself. It's not the birth itself. It's not the C-section. It's not the vaginal birth. It's not the forceps. It's what happened to you inside you as a result of that event. Many soldiers don't come from the war with PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, only part of them. Or there is a beautiful book about Holocaust, and the author, Victor, I can't remember his surname, described the experience of in the Holocaust differently from other people, because he has a different vision of the world. He has a different story. And so so the event is not really the trauma itself, but it's really what you made it mean about you and your life. Some women are happy they had a C-section. Some other women are completely devastated. Some women are happy that they had a vaginal birth. Some other women are completely devastated. Why is that? It's because it's not the event itself, it's what happened inside a person as a result of that event. Trauma is also what didn't happen that should have happened. For example, children that didn't have their parents close to support them or to love them, and this, it's children should have an attentive, responsive parent around him or her, and it didn't happen. That also a trauma, because the child made it mean something about him from that, from what he didn't receive. And so this is the definition from Gabor Mate and my teacher, and also other experts on trauma. And so, yeah, so of course it's important to have birth that is without violence, without any form of manipulation, any form of coercion, because we know that this will would be devastated for women. And many birth associations wrote in the reports that 1 out of 3 women have PTSD, a form of PTSD, a form of postpartum depression due for their birth. And so this is, and I believe that is really underestimated, because it's something new that we are paying attention. Many women don't tell about their story. Many women feel isolated. Many women are not heard. This is acceptable. Birth trauma, the fact that you had a shitty birth is acceptable, and you need to accept. It's normalized, and you need to accept it. That's all. It's also shameful maybe for some women to talk about it, because what's the point? This is this is normal in our society, but it's not normal, because birth should happen in a condition that, in a setting that is protective, is really allow you to go into the process, really allow your hormones to work, that your baby is exposed to these amazing hormones like oxytocin and endorphin, because have a really important function. The exposure of these hormones, your baby who is exposed to these hormones at birth, and it's the first experience of exposure, have really important meaning for the baby self-confidence, for the baby self-love as baby and then as an adult. So it has a huge impact in the life of the baby, and it's the first experience of the baby to be immersed in these hormones, to feel loved and accepted. And so, and we underestimate all that. Now birth is so medicalized with so many other hormones and drugs, and all these are erased. The natural oxytocin and endorphin are sometimes really low because of this birth, of this medicalized birth. But start from the beginning in pregnancy. How can we prevent trauma or birth trauma or violence in birth? We can prevent it. A pregnant woman can prevent it by doing inner work, by finding professionals that is attentive and really help her to create a space and a container where she can really connect inside and notice what happens. Are you stressed? What's happening in your life? Stress is really an important indicator to see where you're at. The baby feel and hear and feel what you feel. If you feel stress, the baby will be inside a stressed mother and stressed womb, and it will absorb that. If you feel anxiety and fears, your baby will feel it too. So, and this is not to say that you don't have to feel it. This is not to say that you have to suppress it. All the emotions are welcome. is really to have an opportunity what they are about, to understand what these hormones are about, what's the message of these hormones, and why stress is so present. So to pay attention and not to numb or to distract ourselves, to pay attention and to come back. Why am I experiencing that? Many women experience discrimination at work. Many women need to work until end of pregnancy. Many women have problems with within relationship. There are so many sources of stress. So it's really to understand where they come from, to pay attention what's happening inside you. And also have the resources around you, professional that can do this work with you, support from friends, family. And very important is to understand what type of birth you are gonna plan. What's the best place for you, where you can avoid any further stress, where people can support you, where the environment is full of love, compassion for you, where you are radically supported. Where is this place for you? Is it home? Is a birth center? Is a hospital? We know from research that women who birth at home have a better experience than those one who birth in a hospital. So something to consider. And of course, the medicalization, the violence happens more at home. In the hospital than at home. So do your research. What happens in hospital? Am I right? Am I allowed to do whatever I want? Are my rights respected? Do your research before going directly to the hospital, to the environment that you don't know. Because imagine when we go somewhere that we don't know and we meet someone that we don't know and we need to open up and be vulnerable. Not many of us are immediately open and able to be vulnerable because there is part of us that would protect, and that's physiological. So at your birth, you need to be able to open up. You are opening up for this soul, for this baby to come to earth. So it's an opening and going to a place that we don't know, that usually is not warm, is not soft and gentle, because hospitals usually have bright light, noise, rules, everybody like is running around. So, and it's really counterproductive if you know that birth is slow and is really inwards and it needs protection, needs soft light, it's really counterproductive going to the hospital. But I'm not choosing for you, but this is really to take into account what's the best place. What if you really, if it for you it's really important to have a gentle birth, a respected birth, how can you make it happen? And is the hospital the best place for you? Is the home best place for you? What's the best place for you? Many women that come to me, they already know. There is something in me that tells me, oh, when I go to the hospital, I feel so anxious. And when I come back home, I feel so happy with the baby. That's the first sign. That's a sign that really wants to be listened. That anxiety has a message for you that wants to be listened. And so maybe that's for you a sign to really connect with that anxiety and listen. So yeah, this is a little bit the work to do in pregnancy. And then, of course, in birth, the best way to protect your environment is really to be in an environment that protects your process. And sometimes hospital is not the best. We know from research, we know from many experiences. And this is not to say that, you know, doctors, midwives are not doing the best job. Their best is to say that sometimes the system has a rule, and many rules that are inside the system is not to protect women, it's to protect the system, to control and to, you know, for women to speed up and like it's a kind of manufacturer, no, next. So yeah, something to really reflect on what's the best place for you, how can I make it happen, and listen to your body. You know, the response of your body when you go to the hospital for appointment, or when you go to or to visit, or just listen and notice what's your body respond. Do you feel okay in there? Do you feel safe? Do I feel at peace, or do I feel scared and anxious? The reaction of your body are the best answer for you to decide if the hospital is the best place for you. And then postpartum is really to be present with your experience. And sometimes, if you know, we ignore all these signs, and we ignore all these signal from the body, from the emotions, then you arrive to postpartum that it feels so depleted and fatigued, and that's also a sign. The fatigue and the depletion, and then the exhaustion is a sign to be listened. Of course, to rest, but to be aware of what's happening inside you. Postpartum, like birth and like pregnancy, shouldn't be like a time for depletion and fatigue and exhaustion. Should be pleasurable, could be pleasurable, ecstatic, joyful. But because we are always stressed, because we do many things, because we don't have time, because we feel very tired. And if we haven't stopped during pregnancy, then we arrive at postpartum that is, it can be very difficult. So how you live the pregnancy, how you live the birth, will impact on your postpartum. Some women are depressed postpartum, in the postpartum, and that's a sign that probably is too much for them. They've been holding in too much. That's what depression is suppressing all this emotion. I suppress until I'm so full that I can't do it anymore. So, and again, our society normalized that because this is what women have to do. So postpartum to really is a way to find your way home, can be a way to find yourself home, to have a community that supports you, if you have a community around you, and to slow down and have support to have all the tools and resources to have that, to be that parent who is attentive, responsive to his child or her child. And that involves really do the inner work, be with emotions, be with whatever it is in that moment, and find support around you. Tell your story, write your story, tell your story to other women, to find other women that can support you, that can listen to you, where you are heard. It's so important to be surrounded so that you know that you are not alone in this experience. I would love to say much more of this. I could stay here talking for hours and hours, but I'm gonna stop it here because I want to take care of myself too today. And yeah, and I wanted to come here to just give you, and there are lots of work happening, road works happening outside, and I feel very distracted. And so yeah, so I wanted to come here to just share with you that pregnancy can be an amazing experience, a joyful experience. And if it's not for you, it's an opportunity to understand more about you. The same as birth. If you didn't have a beautiful birth, birth is an opportunity for you to understand more about you. And the same postpartum, with the exception that you also have a baby and the dynamics will change, is an opportunity to see how I can adapt and how I can respond to my needs and also the needs of the baby and the family. And not nullify myself, but be attentive to inside me, to what is required. Do I need to rest? Do I need to eat more? Do I need to go for a walk? At the same time, what do my baby need? Because it's the same thing. What your baby feel in pregnancy, what you feel in pregnancy, your baby will feel as well. Same in postpartum. Your baby will feel what you feel. Your baby doesn't have the capacity to take care of him, but it will regulate through your nervous system. So if you are stressed, he will be stressed. And that might result in more crying, colics, not breastfeeding, not feeding, whatever it means. And there are many, not sleeping as well. There are many kind of manifestation. But and that's not to say that there is something wrong with you. It's again an opportunity to tune in into you and into your baby. What's the message there for me? What do I need to pay attention to? And I wish you really a wonderful maternity or motherhood journey. And if you feel like exploring more, please contact me through my website, through Instagram, ask questions. I'm always open to hear from you. And I wish you well in your journey. Thank you.